What's going on, y'all? Savage here. So the lamb dog and the peanut think I'm saber rattling or discussing such a subject that you just declares you an immediate uh, idiot, retard, etc. So in the video, left versus right, the percentages of belligerents, support, alliances needed, combat effectiveness, or whatever. There was certainly a bulk of it is left right, of course, discussing the timing, some low level societal implications, but not delving into purely the societal implications of this supposed rebellion. I compared it to different periods in time, or at least the 0708 time with the anti 1% anti bank stuff, on the money focused items, and we could compare the rebellion and threats of violence to different periods of time in history where it also resulted in the status quo. I touched on the medical industry, a number of different things. I think it's important for the context, if Sri Lanka or Vatican City state wants to attack the United States and their rebellion is just going to fuck us up and change society and result in a totally new system and or a non-status quo, much like we have right now. I think that context is very important. I think it's very important to admonish, criticize, guilt, and shame the idiots who wish death on their fellow Americans. I think it's detestable. I think it's disgusting. I think it makes you pathetic. So, outside of that, Sned, the great man from across the pond, had made the points about status quo and how our comfort kind of prevents some of this all out rebellion. And this is not Sudan. We're talking about Chicago, Tulsa, LA, real places. Dallas, Fort Worth. A lot of those people have it pretty good. Econ Recon had discussed the SNAP benefits and the right making fun of, or obviously that's super low class and a bad thing to do. I do believe in food stamps. I'll call it food stamp instead of SNAP. If food stamps are 10 to 15% of Americans are beneficiaries of food stamps, it seems representative of a much greater problem. And this is maybe, like 13,000 Band-Aids instead of having surgery for the real problem. There's a lot to go into on that side. But what it made me think of when I watched your video was, where do we draw the line? Like, while I agree with you on the food stamps, where are we at on water? Is water a human right in the United States of America for our people? Is shelter? How big is this shelter? Is it just our Section 8 style system now? Is healthcare a right here in the United States of America? Could we take that seriously, since we're likely to get screwed on either side, left or right, when they're in power money-wise? And we are just going to be racking up the debt. Should we actually provide something for it? A lot of these programs can be taken advantage of, but in the greater sense, just go ahead and assume that they are needed, and that's part of the socialist part of governments that makes sense to a lot of people, to most Americans. And to me, it's like having a fire department and ensuring that the entire nation doesn't have to depend on private fire departments, or they're all going to die in a fire. And we have government assistance to the municipalities or counties who are running their own EMS services, and those parts of the system are valid and precious to me in my American ideals. But Econ, where do you draw the line? Obviously, say just food, water, shelter, healthcare, health, dental, mental. Like where do you draw the line? And yeah, I agree completely that we shouldn't be making fun of people getting cut off of their SNAP benefits, or even during the Doge thing or the current shutdown, or government employees, not receiving a paycheck and likely going to be receiving back pay. And it's just a temporary delay as both sides fight each other. But um, yeah, actually reshot this video because I was rudely interrupted by a visitor who, just kidding, it wasn't rude at all. Just forgot they were coming over at this time. Uh, we've got to wish the Shafe well. We've got to, I've got to watch the Selfish Sound System video. There's a couple I've got to go into. I've got to, still got to finish the Shafe video. Maybe a new one. He's playing guitar on there. A little busy on my half energy days here. Full circle back to the original, the societal implications of this rebellion. Supposed theoretical or real, whatever. I think the left has to distance themselves from these extremists. I think this rebellion would usher in, at a faster rate, the AI flock camera system, pre-crime, this developing world that we should fear and fight against. We're fighting against each other instead. I think it renders us somewhat powerless, as it gives us a new Patriot Act style power to just name one, left versus right, the rebellion, whatever. You pick a key phrase and keep saying that, and that gives you this carte blanche. Fuck it, pass the legislation on both sides. It's not the left versus right, it's them versus us. Even if you hold that perspective, and yet you still want to fight your fellow Americans and not this company, that company, this legal entity or whatever, with much greater lobbying power than you and everyone you've ever met. I think it's just short-sighted. It's ridiculous. It's a lot of the reasons I don't see it outside of the status quo argument, outside of the overwhelming force, outside of what would occur in the hearts and minds of these supposed radicals when kinetic shit actually happens and they freak the fuck out. And the legal stuff too. The societal implications of this are horrible for both sides, as far as our legal framework of just being free men and women. I think it's likely to cost the DNC short term, should this rebellion not be an overwhelming victory into this, communist panacea of just perfection that they've developed, or the shit they talk about, which, we understand unless you realize it's them versus us. You'll never get in. There's no rebellion that's going to do shit. It is controlled. If you look at what it takes to get a law talked about, let alone passed, I mean, it's set up, okay? The way to do this is for people to pay attention and care, and not just protest, not just, wish violence on others, but to actually affect change in their area, from the school board to the city council on up to their state house seats, state senate seats, and then into the real House and Senate. But you need good, honorable people to do that. Unfortunately, those types of people hate that shit. The people who can't be blackmailed or bribed would hate it there. And they want nothing to do with it. And if it takes 500,000 or $1 million to run for a House seat at the Fed level, if it takes 3 million or 15 million to run for a Senate seat, you're swimming in money, you're swimming in favors that you owe people technically, if it's not this grassroots beauty. So everyone's had the opportunity, everyone meaning left and right, to get the money out of politics. The implications of the rebellion is the corporate entities in the government are the best buddies, and any of the good boys, any of the lapdog citizens who are just forever cool with the status quo, which is immeasurably powerful. It's insane. So the implications of this fake war that has been brought up and is constantly talked about. I mean, it's not just within this circle. And it's not just saber rattling. It is a legitimate topic of discussion now, as sad as it may seem. I think there's obviously hours and hours of discussion on the what would come of this, what it means. It's probably a globalist victory of all victories to really move the money over to Asia and have them usher in, a new global order and a new structure of power under a China-like or a global body, a basket of countries, as opposed to the United States, which, if you don't fast track that, it's going to take a long ass time. Bond market, stock market, currency market, what we provide the world, let alone our military, at the current rate, nobody's got a chance for 40, 50 years unless rapid changes occur. China has great demographic problems. India's usually on our side. Russia doesn't seem to be that extremely powerful outside of, like other nations, their nuclear power. The implications of us fighting ourselves legitimately and this not being small skirmishes or the one-off bullshit, and not being, summer of love level of violence, which is just not that scary. If this is large scale, it's bad for the people who are starting the shit. It doesn't make any sense. On this, whether Gen Z on up to the supporters or combat ready people in their 40s, 50s, whatever, all these millions of people, they're just going to just leave, If you think it's that bad, you want to destroy the nation, you're not going to rebuild it. It's completely controlled. If you want to do that, if you want to rebuild the system, you have to do it with the other half of the country and the people in the middle who count as the other half. It would be a great reality check on 1,000 levels. And yeah, anyway, there are some new videos I have to watch. I recorded one and then deleted again, not because of a visitor. But I'll try to post more here. I see some videos and maybe I'll respond to some.